Welcome back to some more Create Integrated. Now today is episode 20, and that means it is World Download Day, and so you gain access to this beautifully handcrafted world that you see right here, so long as you're a supporter of any tier. So thanks to all of my supporters, whether you support me over on Twitch, over on Patreon, here as a YouTube member, or especially through the Discord. Thank you so very much, and get your world download today. Of course, all the Discord stuff will be linked down in the description below. All right, let's get on with today's video. Now, I've got some pretty big plans for today, much like I have been over the last few episodes. And today's plan is to, of course, go to the end, and I want to be able to get my hands on some Celesti gem. It's going to take a little bit to be able to get there, but we do need to complete the end before we can actually make this stuff. So end rating we will get to, and I'm going to show you some cool ways that we can go through that and make it super easy for us to get things, and also make that whole process really fun. Now, before I do that, there is something special that I really want to do because I absolutely loved this comment. And the comment is from Solar Whirlgirl, or Whirlygill. It says, as a bit of added decoration, we should have a Starbuncle transport the experience from like here into this barrel to be auto processed up. And I think that is a fantastic idea. And it would also give our little, little shop here an actual worker inside of what is essentially a gas station. Now, if you've never used a Starbuncle before, this is a fantastic way to teleport items around, or not really teleport them, but transport items around. And all you need in my pack is a little bit of brass and a Starbuncle token, and you'll put that in the enchanting apparatus and let this bad boy rip. Once you have your Starbuncle charm, this is a Starbuncle. So it looks like this. It's a little mob. You can pick it up. You can actually, knock it out to be able to pick it up, or you can use a dispel on it, but it is reusable. And so this little fellow will turn back into his charm if it does ever get hurt. But what we want to do is we want to bind it to this bed. To do this, we'll place down the Starbuncle, and I believe you click the actual entity. So you click the Starbuncle, and then you click on the bed. And so its bed is now set, and it'll stay in this bed when it's not doing any tasks. But we do need to assign some tasks to this guy. So our first task is going to be telling a Starbuncle to pick up some items from an inventory. So the way we do this is we click on an inventory, or in this case, we shift right click to set this limited barrel here that has the XP nuggets to it. And then we right click. So the Starbuncle is now going to take from this inventory. Now we need to tell the Starbuncle by right clicking to store the items that it's carrying into a container. So we'll just simply shift right click on the storage. And so since there is a job, the Starbuncle will then take the items and then bring them over here, and it's going to carry a stack at a time. And so this guy is just going to constantly run back and forth, doing its thing, trying its best to pathfind and send it over here. Another cool thing is we can change the color of our little Starbuncle. So I want to make this guy lime green, so I just right click on him with some lime dye, and now we have a little XP Starbuncle running around. And so thank you for the comment. Like that was a fantastic idea, like having a little shopkeeper here be a little Starbuncle just running items back and forth. I always forget about the Starbuncles and how useful they can be. Now, with that fun out of the way, some other reasons that I want to go to the end is because it allows us to actually upgrade our gear to the next tier. So currently I am wearing the tier or level 2 gear, which just required you to go to the nether. But to take this to the next level, we are going to need ender pearls and chorus fruit. So I do need a little bit of chorus fruit, which is only obtainable through the end. But okay, I'm hearing you out. What's the reason for even getting the Celesti gem? Well, I recently updated the mod pack, and I may have done a whole lot of retexturing and added some custom recipes to the Flux Network mod. And so, because of Flux Networks now being in here, we can now craft ourselves a Flux controller, allowing us to keep things in our inventory constantly charged. And just in case you were curious, the recipe that I did implement for making Flux Dust is some obsidian powder and electrum ingots, giving another nice use for electrum. But to be able to make the flux cores, which you are going to need, that does require a celesti gem. To make the celesti gem, we're going to need at least a void shimmer goo and some of that prismarine alloy, which does mean diamonds, which is another problem that we're going to solve in the future. But void shimmer is a whole task in itself. It is going to consume the blaze goo, and it does require corium ingots to feed it. So we are going to need some chorus to be able to make this. and it's just pop chorus and a little bit of polished rose quartz in order to make these. Thankfully, I did recently add a recipe to be able to make rose quartz. You just need a little bit of power, and so you infuse power into the nether quartz, and bam, you get a rose quartz, which is another later game after power solution instead of using a ton of redstone. But on top of all of that, we also need dragon's breath in a bucket, so we are going to need to collect some dragon breath bottles to be able to get this stuff. So yes, lots to do, but first task, find the actual dragon's lair. Now, before we start our journey, something I do want to mention again, I did mention it last episode, but the portal gun. I like to take my left click and set an actual home portal. So for example, this is home portal, and then anywhere I'm at, I can just right click, and now we can use the portal gun from Just Dire Things to teleport back and forth from that location. So anytime I need to come back to the base, unload some gear, I'm able to do that, and then keep my position wherever I'm at. And it should also work cross-dimensionally. This is something we are going to definitely test out. Now, another cool thing that I want to do, which is going to make an in-battle a lot easier, is to set up the spell on my enchanter's bow. And the spell that I'm going to go with is Explosion with maxed out AoE. So this is going to almost guarantee that we can take out a tower, if not multiple towers, within one single explosion. So we place the bow, shift right click, now the spell is set, and this is a very dangerous bow. Definitely keep this away. You do not want to set this off. Yeah, setting this off in the base would be devastating, because this is a pretty large explosion. All right, enough of that mumbo jumbo. Let's go ahead and do the boring part. Where is this thing located? All right, looks like this direction somewhere. Now, to locate this for me, it should be quite easy, as I am using my famous dash spell, which is self, leap, and then some amplify, and then feather falling with a reduced time on there. And this should get you where you want to go. But if you haven't dived into Ars, there's actually other methods you can use. For example, you can fly airplanes over here. And eventually, I am going to make the biplane at least. This is one of my favorites. You know what? All of this Ars actually just got me thinking, why am I using the vanilla method? We actually have a modded way to do this. You can just simply use a tablet of locate structure, and I just so happen to have one inside of my villager here. But this is actually really easy for us to make, and you can make this pretty early on. Now, you can locate multiple different structures, but the one that I'm most interested in is a stronghold, and it just needs several eyes of ender. So after crafting a brazier, which is what we're going to use to activate this, we need to click this on here, and then just simply toss all of our eyes onto this until it hits 12. So we're at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 3 more, I believe. One more. There we go. And then now that we have all 12, we right click, and this should locate the structure. And then once it is finished, it's going to spit out a bound wayfinder that actually has a compass that points to the destination. And look at that. It also tells us how many blocks away, which is really nice. 3,000 blocks is quite a bit, but it is going to be in this same direction where we were initially heading. This method is just so much more accurate. Look at that. Along the way, bam, I also found a pillager outpost, but this is a create-based pillager outpost. Kind of interesting. It has a lot of like random bits that I definitely want to take. Like, look at that. Okay, we got the mechanical arms, thank you, and a whole bunch of anvils. Sorry, structure, this is mine. I'm gonna take that, another pair of running shoes, why not? And even more create-related shenanigans. Ooh, and upstairs there's even more. What is this? Okay, so this is a self-burst sensitive, I'm assuming, so it doesn't break blocks, with an AoE range, and then it grows things, then harvests them, and then puts the items in my inventory. So no, this is just like a bulk grow spell that just like grows a whole bunch of stuff around you and then puts it in your inventory. That's kind of interesting, really. I bet this spell is really loud though. Yeah, it does this. It like just grows grass all around you. I think it's supposed to harvest though, but it doesn't seem to do that. Interesting. But yes, the dungeon is right here. Like, we are like right at its position. The compass is rotating around, so it should be directly underneath me. I should be able to get down here quite easily by using our break spell. well, using our break spell without this much luck modifiers on it, because that is going to be nasty. But yes, we can spam this with as much regen as we have, and it's not going to cause any problems at all. All right, so we did get the achievement for it, so we are here. Aha. And yes, this is not your normal... I mean, it does feel normal for me being like modded. This is the Young's stronghold, so it is sort of a labyrinth. But I mean, just look at those heads on the wall. Absolutely fantastic. The mobs down here shouldn't be too bad for us to get through. I do want to use my light spell to make sure we can light up these corridors, but I do have to actually find the portal, which could take me a moment. I mean, while I'm down here, might as well break some of the loot. And loot you will find, and we'll probably also find some very specific relics. Like, for example, this one. We got some rooted boots. A pocket piston. Now, sometimes finding the portal can be a bit of a challenge, but sometimes it can actually generate and be really nice to you. Like, it's just right down the hallway, like a straight shot. And here's the portal. Very nice. I do want to get rid of the silverfish spawner. We don't really need this. So in this dungeon, definitely check everywhere. There are chests all over the place. You can get some pretty decent loot and backpacks. Yeah, and even onion rings. And also a magic mirror. Or how about the takeoff spell book that literally gives you an elytra and launches you in the air? This is one of the, hands down, one of the best spell books that you can just find. Before I open up this portal, there's a couple of things I want to do. I want to head back home. Notice how this works, allowing me to access stuff. We need to get some bottles made up. I'm going to need some whenever I take on the dragon, but outside of that, I'm just about ready to go. So let's do this. Placing in all of the eyes. And... oh boy, here we go. The dragon is calling. So let's give the dragon a visit. Shall we? Yes, I think we shall. And there's the bell. Okay, so yes, the end dimension is a little tattered, you could say. A very, very tattered. It is definitely a mess here in this dimension. But as soon as we get up here, we can stop that bell from ringing and summon the boss, which I don't think is going to be too difficult. I don't really want the dragon fight to be much different than normal, but yeah, it's still your standard challenge. But with ours, the boss is not going to stand a chance. This bad boy is literally just meant to be a person that's in the way. We could just honestly leave the dimension here, but I do need some dragon's breath. After all is said and done, the dragon has now spawned in, and we can either fly after it and shoot the dragon, or we can wait for it to perch down here, which is something we can also do. But I do need these bottles, so let's go ahead and grab some of that dragon's breath. I love that the camera shakes when the dragon like screams. I'm gonna go ahead and plop that up there. And like I said, this should make this whole operation quite easy. Just don't shoot the ground around powerful Endermen. That could definitely get you killed. These Endermen are not nice. Not nice at all when they get shot. Thankfully, though, this will hit them. Also, I'm able to utilize Ars here to get a nice drop on these things. Look at that. So good. Just do a quick sweep of the area just to make sure all crystals are broken, in which they are. I think now is about time to show this dragon who's boss. All right. Get down and land, you dragon. And yes, you can just continue to hit this dragon with these spells, and it is not resistant against these spells at all. So yes, this will definitely hurt the dragon a lot. Just in case you're wondering what the spell is, it is just a combination of multiple hurts that are being chained together. The dragon is perching again. Yes. Take that damage. You can almost stun lock the dragon if you get lucky. Now with the dragon perched one last time, we are going to attack it with the final blow. And there, the dragon is no more. Very, very nice. Ah, so good. Also, as a reward, we got a little bit of food here as well that we can use to craft up. To be able to respawn the dragon with this whole setup, you just have to put the end crystals here on these corner bits. But I do want to get this egg, so what is the best way to do this? Man, maybe a piston. So, let's see. Can we teleport back home? And yes, it does work cross-dimensionally, which is great. So after grabbing a piston and a lever, we are ready to go. I should be able to change the rotation of this. Change it to one of the directions, right? It pops up so quickly. I guess maybe not. All right, well, now I've got to figure out how to place this. Like so, maybe here like this. Bloop, there we go. Perfect. So once we have that in place, I'm just going to hit it with a lever and then make sure my magnet's on. And I now have the dragon egg. Oh, and you got to love the inventory particles. It's so pretty. Now with the Ender Dragon slain, this is the place that I need to be. So I'm going to plop this down here, break off the sides, and then just fire an Ender Pearl. Fire an Ender Pearl? There we go. And this is going to lead me to the outer ends. Oh boy. It could be dangerous. Just don't look at Enderman. I think I'll be fine if I don't. But there's a lot here. Coral. There's also like tons of glowstone. So instead of farming glowstone in the nether, just farm it here. There's just so much. The end is vastly different than normal. But locating in cities, that's still a normal task that I need to get kind of done here. Well, I mean, finding an end city is kind of a luxury, not necessarily something that we have to do. We do just need, you know, some of the end stone that we have laying around. And we also are going to need some of the chorus, which is just right up here, actually. And I'm going to want to grab a few of these bulbs. You can also shoot these off, I believe, with like a bow and arrow. But I'm just going to go ahead and mine a few. And this Inkscape, though, is filled to the brim with like blackstone, ed coral, and even bone. Oh, and there's even blocks of amethyst throughout. Oh, and I thought for a brief moment that this right here... Oh, I thought this was an end city. But it's not. It's actually an Ender's Delight, like, cooking station. Beautiful. And much like we did to be able to find the stronghold, we can actually do this for end cities too. So a per block, yeah, are all over the place here. Or we could make them ourselves. Yeah, the whole floor here is per. Toss that down. Give it one single per. And then let's see it spit out a location. Perfect. And how far away? Whoa. Definitely not the closest in the world. Oh my, from a bottom view, that place is gorgeous. I don't think this one actually has an elytra in it though. Oh no, it definitely doesn't. But I do want to take the stuff that's on the roof. And let's see, can we get down in here? Open these up quickly. Ooh, we can. Ooh, a magic robe. Some diamond gear. Don't mind me. We'll definitely take that. And some free shulker boxes. Ripe for the taking. Now, some of you may notice that these chests are actually locked. And that's because technically I had to remove the mod. It may get added back in the future. So to future playtime, it may be in there. But I am kind of waiting on Clavis because Clavis was crashing quite a bit for whatever reason. Based on... some sort of client issue that it had with like rendering locks and stuff. So still sort of waiting on that. And then the mod will probably get added back because I really like it. Ooh, at the center, there's a diamond block just chilling. I'll take that. But my goodness, it's a mess in there. Ooh, does this one have a ship? Come on. It doesn't have a ship either. Oh, but finally, after a little bit of searching, there's the ship. Oh man, filled to the brim with wool, by the way. I mean, I would be kind of sad if I maybe took all of their stuff from them, but there we go. I'm going to take that for sure. Taking all the diamonds if I can. Also, any of these tablets would be really, really nice. Starbuckle charms, absolutely love them. Everything else, can kind of leave it. But now I also can't forget, I've got to get the dragon head. No, don't knock me off. I've got a dragon head I've got to acquire. Nope. Stop. There we go. Okay, perfect. I got the dragon head. You know what? I'm going to call that a pretty big success. And this is going to net us just about everything that we are going to need in order to get Celesti gems. But I mean, just sort of a loot recap. 51 diamonds, not too bad. Plus the diamond blocks that I also looted from there. And so, yeah, we're over a stack of diamonds just from... a couple of end cities that didn't even take me but like 5 minutes. So diamond shouldn't be too big of a problem for the Celesti gem, especially since we're about to make a ton of it. But yeah, it does cost 9 diamonds to be able to produce about 3 to 4 Celesti gem. And also that trip ended up getting us a ton of spell books. Like this Wall of Force sounds really interesting. Interesting. So it just like puts up this mage block wall that like mobs would have to walk around. I mean, that kind of makes sense. Those will despawn hopefully in a minute or two. But then we also have a flash freeze. I don't want to use this one. It creates a water bubble and then freezes it and then strikes lightning down. This one is ridiculous, but it's a good way to get some ice. And then self-atomic, of course, is to blow yourself up. The take flight, though, is really cool because this gives you elytra flight. Like, you literally have elytra flight for like a minute. And these are all of the artifacts / relics that we ended up looting along the way, like a warp drive. There's all kinds of interesting ones in here. Warp drive teleports the player to a position along the line of sight within 6 blocks, and then it goes on cooldown for a few seconds. Okay, so it's something that we have to use the alt menu for, I bet. Now, something else cool that we do find in the end is stasis. Stasis enchant is really cool. Default, a bubble blower just sort of blows bubbles, but if you put stasis on a bubble blower from supplementaries, well, now you can place blocks mid-air, which does act kind of like an angel block wand, where that block is at, you can just simply place a block. Very helpful, very cool, and you can also use this to jump on temporarily. And you can kind of walk through the air like this. Now, to get back on track, remember we're making that void shimmer goo. So I'm going to take a chain drive from right here, hook that up, and utilize one of my favorite parts of Create Connected, which is the encase chain cogwheel. Absolutely love this thing. But anyways, all I need to do is take a couple of dragon's breath, and we need to place it on here and drain it. And that is going to get us 250 millibuckets. So 4 buckets worth of this stuff, and that should equal an entire bucket, and then we can just spout that single bucket out like so. Beautiful. I do need 2 buckets though. But now we're on to making corium ingots, or at least temporarily making corium ingots. I want to make a batch of them at a time. This is not going to be fully automated at the moment. That is going to take a little bit of time to do, but we can go ahead and set this up so that way we can have some lava routed through here and all kinds of other fun stuff. So this is going to be very similar to other ones that I've done. So just like the one that we did all the way over here in this factory, it's going to be another looping operation. So the way we're going to do this is make a belt where in the middle we have a open spot, 1, 2, 3, and then we have another open spot. This means I do need to shorten this belt. You can actually use a wrench to shorten your belt, by the way, which is another little fun thing that you may have learned today. But there we go. So now that is done. What I want is a vault on the back side like this that is going to be 3 long. This is actually what we're going to use to do the looping. And then I'm going to place a spout here. That's going to spout lava. And then we need a deployer. This is what is going to house the items that we're going to be deploying. And then we need to press. And then this is just going to keep looping until it finishes. There's some more logistics that we got to do. For example, the threshold switch. So same concept as before, items will go out. They will end up being sent into here. This is meant to just simply pull out of this vault. So they will skip, they'll be processed, and then this will actually determine whether or not it gets sent onto here. So what we'll do is we can create either a blacklist that blacklists actual corium ingots or what have you. But what we really need to make sure is that the only output here that is received or that is allowed out is going to be the actual finished products. So we could take one of the unfinished that goes through the loop, and we should be able to put it in here, and that will be considered part of the filter. At overflow, we will use a threshold switch, and then we're going to lower this all the way down to as low as it can possibly go. And then I'm going to set this to like 16. I think that's always a good number. And then make sure, or set this to 32, and then set that lower threshold to 16. I think that's going to be fine. So that way it'll process all of those items. Whenever it gets down to 16 in here, it'll send 16 more essentially before locking it down again. This prevents this vault from overfilling. To get that lava flowing, I'm just going to carry some of my cabling from over here, and I'm going to run this along the backside, like basically level with the spout. And just like with all of our other lava setups, we'll just drag the lava right on in. I don't even think this is going to need any filters. It's just going to keep a bucket of lava in here. So I'm going to go ahead and send my chorus over here to be popped. This is actually through the blasting instead of cooking. So even though I would consider chorus kind of like a food, to blast it turns it not into a food, which, I mean, popped chorus fruit, I mean, you don't eat popped chorus fruit, which kind of makes sense. but also I like to think of it as like popcorn, but it's not. Yeah, I mean, I guess this does change my perspective on it. I think the most challenging part of automating this whole process is probably going to be the popped chorus fruit in the future. There are ways that we can actually automate chorus. One of them is, well, we can bulk haunt apples. So apples are something that we can do. There are mobs that drop them. We can do automatic trading with the create trading floor. There's all kinds of like interesting options here. Our tree farm produces a ton of them. So we have a ton of apples that are being produced from the tree farm. Or you could just figure out a way to farm chorus itself. It does grow, and we do have ours. So the ability for us to create some sort of automatic farming solution could be kind of quick. All right, so let's go ahead and place this in. I'm only going to give it enough for one. Also, popped chorus fruit, I'm going to put inside of this filter here. Let's just give it one for right now, and then try to grab the one out when it goes through its operation here. There we go, and then put that in there. The goal is that it will still loop through here, but as soon as it's finished, it will send it along its way because it's a different item. So you just want to put the one that is in mid-process in there, and there we go. We now have cororeium ingots. That is, in my opinion, a pretty big milestone. So let's just go ahead and throw all 32 in here and just let that process loop. And that's what this looks like right here. So this is going to continue on doing all the things that most of our other stuff has done. And it's going to work. We're producing that cororeium. There's the 2 that we need. So now that I have these, I'm going to go ahead and make that void shimmer. So goodbye Blaze Bloom Goo, which you could use all of these, but I just like to upgrade them immediately. And now we have Void Shimmer Goo, taking its place. And this block, like I said, wants to feed on cororeium in order to activate. I need to make that prismarine alloy. To make this, we've got to toss all of these diamonds in to be turned into diamond grit. And then we can toss it into our bulk mixer here. And look at that. We now have prismarine alloy built up, and I'm making enough to surround this with 6 blocks. While this is processing up, look what we got over here. Some more cororeium ingots, which are going to be helpful because now we can use cororeium to make things like ender chests and ender tanks and many other things. Look at that chromatic compound, for example, with nether star shards and all kinds of other fun stuff, and ultimately to make some echo ingots. Now this one is pretty quick. So yeah, compared to all of the other ones that we've worked on, these are going to get progressively faster. So making alloy on this thing is going to be a lot faster than all of our others. But there we go. This is already converted, and there's our celesti gem ore. Thankfully, though, this doesn't require any processing. So what we get is what we get. And out of the 56 that we put into it, we get 21. Not a lot as an output, but this is a really powerful item. And thus, with this, we have now entered the realm of wireless power. See, with the Celesti Gem, we now get access to the energy transmitter, which is a way that we can power certain blocks that is wireless. But it's also now going to grant us the ability to craft up flux cores. Now, for us to be able to get into flux networks, there's still a few more prerequisites, right? We need to toss some obsidian down in here, and we are going to need to get some obsidian powder. This obsidian powder, I'm going to take it and then combine it with our electrum to get ourselves some flux dust. Now, electrum is a pretty expensive commodity here. To normally get this, we would need like 36,000 RF to be able to send to this. But we are producing it as a byproduct from our gold operation. So this is also another nice way of getting it. So let's head all the way up here to our bulk pressing or bulk compacting, and we are going to want to set this up. So let's get a filter. I just want to make sure, because I don't want to crush this powder. Actually, we may be able to send it through here without this trying to compact it. Let's go ahead and take a shot here. I'm going to place that in, put that in, and okay. So it is working just as I was hoping. Perfect. So yeah, it is just toss in and just let it happen. We are now producing flux dust. So yes, you don't have to go through the operation like normal with flux networks where you place down like on bedrock and you have to punch a block of obsidian. None of that is actually changeable, or at least not changeable easily. It is hard-coded into the mod. So we are getting quite a bit of flux dust here from this method. And I thought this was very much similar. We're basically doing a compression with some obsidian and also a new material, electrum. Now, what do we need for specifically player charging? Well, what we're going to need here is a flux plug. We're going to need to create a network And then we just need a flux controller. The controller is what's going to allow us to charge ourselves and also works cross-dimensionally. But a flux plug is what we need to get power into the network. So we are going to need at least these two things. And to be able to make this, it does look like we are going to need, for each plug, it is going to cost a celesti gem. So let's just go ahead and make 2 of these for now. And then we can make our first flux block. By the way, these are placeable. They do look like this. This is not a horrible building block either. And I did do all of these textures, so let me know what you think about the textures. I tried my best to kind of make them match and fit in with the pack as best as possible. But there we go. A singular flux plug. Plugs allow power into the network, and then points allow power to be sent out of our network. And so this is just kind of something that we have to understand. Now, to be able to make the flux controller, this one's a little bit more expensive, requiring 5 of these individual blocks. So this is going to technically cost us 6 celesti gems in order to make. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we do need 5 blocks, 5 of these bad boys, plus we also need an extra one at the top. So beautiful. There is our flux controller. Now what we should be able to do is pull from our main network here into the actual plug. We are going to need a connector, however. So with that connected up, you can see how that tapped into the actual setup. And then with my wrench, I'm going to make sure this is a push, so that way it pushes power. And we just pull from here to here. And you're not going to see any initial change or any change at the moment because there's no power draw. But let's go ahead and create a network. So in my case, I'm just going to call this Chosen's main. Like this, I'm going to set to public because I'm playing in a single player world so that you guys can access it in a world. And then I'm going to change the color to anything. I usually like to make it like green for at least my first main network. And that's it. And once you have this done, you need to go to network selection and then just click it to turn it on. Now we can start to see all of our information and all kinds of other fun stuff. So this is connected up to the power. We're not going to notice any change yet. But our controller is where things can technically change. So let's find somewhere to place this. I think I'm going to put it in the magical area for right now. But this is kind of what the block looks like. Honestly, I tried my best with the textures. Okay, I tried. But in here, we are going to select our network. And then if we take a look, this is currently not charged. But as soon as we go underneath the wireless charging section and turn it on, and hit apply after selecting our main inventory hotbar, armor slots and curio slots, offhand and main hand, and hit apply, we should start seeing, hopefully, our thing charge. And there it goes. This is now fully charged. And anything that is not charged that goes into our hotbar will now become charged and will charge up via our network. Something that we are going to have to keep in mind, we are limited. But you can see 14, like 1,400 FE seems to be like what was going through this at the time. I just going to make sure that we don't like drop our RF or our refined storage network, because that is a very big possibility if we are using some things and we just don't have the power to support it recharging fully. By the way, you can use multiple connectors. You can have multiple plugs connected up if throughput becomes a problem. But you could have these connected directly up to a motor if you completely wanted to change your entire power network and you didn't want to use the Create Crafts and Additions versions. But yeah, that looks pretty good. I actually changed it to brown, the network to be brown. That changes the outer color, and it actually makes it look a little bit nicer and fits a little bit better in with the whole Create aesthetic. But this whole setup is going to be more than fine. Like, this being inside of our main hotbar is really nice, but now I can get rid of this. I don't really need this setup anymore to be automatically pulling from my inventory. And now I can actually put my gadget inside of my curio slot and it will still work. So it's now out of my inventory, not bouncing around. Just another quality of life. And it was because of you guys that I added this. I did get a lot of questions saying, hey, Chosen, could you make this a little bit easier? Is there a way for us to have like some wireless charging? And a lot of requests later, I finally broke down and was like, yes, I'll go ahead and make those textures. And it's now added. Hopefully you enjoy. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode and hopefully you learned something new. And if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Well, guys, give this video a huge thumbs up. And without further ado, it's time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Sure. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member, supporting my content one of the best ways possible, and also gaining access to the supporter servers and also getting access to the world downloads. And if you're a supporter of any tier, do not forget to get your world download as mentioned at the beginning of the episode, and you can find that all linked down in the description below. Guys, I'll see you in the next one, and as always, thanks for watching.